This time, Blue versus Rode. Hi, first of all you can see that they're both pretty good looking mics. One big difference is this one, the Blue, is a side address and this one is an end address. So they work different ways. This one will show like this in the shot, this one will show like this in the shot. The other obvious thing, of course, is this one's black and this one's blue, and that can make a difference if you're working in theatres where you've got lights shining around. The Blue is a basic kind of microphone. There are no switches on it at all. It's just a blue metal body with this silver trim. I'm not so keen on silver trims because when you put them into lights, they can show up with with a flash of light or something, and that can be a bit distracting on video. The Rode M3 is very different in that it's got a battery inside, so you just unscrew and this can work totally off battery power if you want it to. It also has a flat switch and a high pass filter. So basically I'd say that this one is a real studio type microphone and this one is more like a studio microphone, but it also can be used for other things because it's just that little bit more versatile. This is the sound of the Blue Ember from a distance of about 9 inches or so, which is where you would normally use a microphone in a studio. Some people prefer them closer, but I prefer to give them a little bit more air to breathe. Now, the nice thing about the Blue Ember is it has quite good rejection. So if you're using it in a room like mine, which isn't particularly good for sound, it's actually quite good. And this is the sound of it from the front. This is the sound from the side. This is the sound from the rear. And we're back to the front again. The temptation with the Blue Ember is to talk into the top like that because it looks like one of those types of microphones, but it definitely isn't. It's one of those types of microphones. You must speak into the side of it. So that's the Blue Ember from the front and used in like a studio situation, but in a front room. This is the sound of the Rode M3. This one is an end address microphone and you don't speak into it from the side because if you speak into the side of this one, that's what you get. Funny enough, it's got a dot there, yeah, and that dot is almost telling you to speak into the side, which is quite funny. But this is the sound that you get from the Rode M3. So this is the Rode from the front, this is the Rode from the side, this is the Rode from the rear, and we're back to the front again. Now this one is, as I say, an end address and you mustn't speak into the side of it. Now comparing the noise levels between these microphones is always difficult when you're using other people's equipment or listening on other people's equipment. So what I've done is I've set it to suit my voice and get the volume roughly about right. And this is the noise floor of the Blue Ember. Again, setting the audio so it's roughly about the same amount as the Blue Ember. This is the noise floor of the Rode M3. Bear in mind with all noise floor tests, it really does depend on the type of equipment that you're using. At the moment, I'm only using a little portable preamp on top of my camera. It's a Beach Tech, it's not bad, but bear in mind when you use it, your noise floor comparisons might be different to mine. One thing that I really like about the Rode M3 is what I'm doing now. I'm feeding it direct into my camera using battery power only, and that's the real strength, I think, of the Rode M3. That's what makes it so versatile because you can just take this outside with you and talk into it outside, and it almost sounds like you're in a studio. In fact, actually, it's better than being in this room because I haven't got the wall reverberations and all that going on outside. Put a wind muff over the top there, and it works absolutely fine. So this is now working on battery power only, the 9-volt battery inside. Now, I forgot to say that also outside you would use perhaps the high pass filter, and what that would do is if you are getting noises from the wind, rumblings and things going on, you can put that thing in and take it down. So this is the sound with the high pass filter switched in. So this is the sound of the Rode M3 now with a high pass filter switched in. This is extremely useful if it's windy. So if you're down by a beach or something, if you switch that thing in, it can take the bottom end down a bit and you don't get those rumbles that you can get in the wind. And this is what I love about the M3. It's such a versatile microphone. And I really do think at the price of £72 now in the UK, it's just like a budget microphone. It's built like a tank. It sounds pretty good as long as you keep it close to you. So if you like the Rode sound, then in actual fact, this one is probably a really, really good buy at the moment at £72. It's basically a budget costing microphone, isn't it? Considering that the price of the Rode has dropped in the UK by £20, it's now quite a bit cheaper than the Blue. The Ember's coming out around about 94 and this one's coming around about 72 now in the UK. So I think this is a fantastic buy. I would say it's a budget buy. £72 for a microphone that will work on a battery. It'll work with 48 volts phantom power. It's got a high pass filter. This one is pretty versatile. The Blue Ember, on the other hand, is more like a studio type microphone. One of those microphones where you fix it in a studio and it stays there. It's not the kind of microphone you would carry around, but I think the M3 is that kind of microphone. You could carry this around and use it straight into your camera. So if you're looking at the possibility of using one of these two mics yourself, it comes down to three things, I think. The price difference, with the Rode being £20 cheaper than the Blue Ember, which is quite significant. This is more like a budget price now. The fact that this is probably a little bit more versatile and can be used mobile with its battery or in the studio with 48 volts phantom power, plus the fact that you've got a high pass filter, whereas this one is more like a straight studio type microphone. And most important of all, which one do you prefer the sound of? If you prefer the sound of the Blue Ember, I wouldn't hesitate and pay the extra £20. If you prefer the sound of this one, the Rode M3, then that's the one to go for with its versatility. Basically, the sound that you prefer is the one that you should get, and you shouldn't let other people decide for you anyway. I hope this was useful to you, and I hope to see you next time, so cheers for now.